Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to continue our NFL predictions with the Houston Texans. And like with the Colts, the less said about their season, the better. I always feel like the Texans were blatantly tanking this entire season. They knew they were going to be a bad team, so they decided, let's just go ahead and tank for the number one pick, which they end up succeeding and failing at. But luckily, and in last year, they fired another head coach in Lovie Smith, hired another black coach and former player, D'Amico Ryans. Luckily with this contract, he will not be a one and done like the last two guys. But for the Texans, I don't know. This season could go either way. They got to be better than 3 wins, right? Right? Let's take a look at their last year's schedule. And looking at last year's schedule, they went 3-13-1, tying with the Colts. They actually ended up not getting swept by the Colts, beating the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road, beating the Tennessee Titans on the road, and beating the Indianapolis Colts on the road. They did not get a single home win this year, and that's not good for any NFL team. Usually win your home games. You don't never win on the road. But for Texans, for them just to only get 3 road wins and no home wins, yeah, it's kind of a settlement of what that team has become. And looking at their highlights, Dameon Pierce is pretty much the biggest one that comes to mind. He was a he was a late round running back prospect from last year. He came in and he did very well until he got hurt and missed the final 4 games of the season. But for a team that was blatantly tanking, he was making sure that team was going to get possibly some wins. He was actually the cause of their first ever victory this season. And one of the biggest highlights they had was not getting swept by their division. They got all 3 wins came against each of their 3 divisional opponents. And they didn't get swept by the Colts. They didn't lose to the Colts this year. If you recall, they tied that first game. And this one's more of a moral victory. They almost beat the Cowboys and the Chiefs. They should have beat the Cowboys, if you ask me. And the Chiefs, they got into overtime with them. They didn't realize, oh yeah, we have a number 1 overall pick we have to get. Let's lose. And as for the lowlights, they blew their tank against the Colts by winning. I think before the game, Lovie Smith was told that, if this is all allegedly, he was told before the game that he was going to be fired. So, as a FU to the Texans, and he decided to go ahead and win that final game, go for 2 in the final drive, and giving the team 3 wins, telling them you're going to be drafted for number 2 instead of number 1. And yes, that cost him his job. But on to the acquisitions, and when you're a losing team, you're gonna have a ton of cap space, and they used it to their perfection this year, adding Dalton Schultz, the tight end, and Robert and Noah Brown, both from the Cowboys. They also added a guard, Shaq Mason. Jimmy Ward decided to join D'Amico Ryans from back all the way back from San Francisco. Robert Woods, a former Tennessee Titans, also there. Devin Singletary for the Bills, and Case Keenum's back for his third go-round as the Texans quarterback. But the only known loss they had was Jordan Atkins, the guy who caught the game-winning touchdown against the Colts. And in the draft, D'Amico Ryans and the organization decided to put their balls on the draft board, deciding not only to take CJ Stroud number 2 overall, but trade up to go number 3 overall and take Will Anderson. It's going to cost them a first round pick next year, but if it pays off, man, Texans did Texans would have something nice. They also had and looking back at it, they actually had a pretty good draft. Nathaniel Dell, a wide receiver from Houston. It was CJ Stroud's request that they drafted him. It was granted. And Henry Toto, who's a linebacker from Alabama as well. He'll be back with his original teammate. Pretty young team for Houston, but they got to be better than 3 wins. So let's take a look at their predictions, shall we? Okay, Houston Texans, let's take a look at this. Starting off your season, you got the Baltimore Ravens. And just as a disclaimer, I've already done most of these teams already, so that's why some of them are filled in. So with the Houston Texans against the Ravens on the road, this one's going to be a loss. But week 2 against the Colts, home opener, hopefully this will be a win. Hopefully this will not end in a tie. And then off the back, another division game against Jacksonville on the road. I got y'all losing to Jacksonville. And then the first game that I actually get to pick for, the Pittsburgh Steelers. This one's at home, but the Steelers are coming from the road. And I could see the Steelers playing down to their competition in this particular game. I think the Steelers will probably, with their talent, I think they should overwhelm the young Houston Texans. That's what's probably going to get Houston in trouble this year. Youth and inexperience. Then against the Atlanta Falcons, I gave them a loss. Against the New Orleans Saints, I'm going to give the Saints the win. Again, mostly because the Saints have a more talented roster. And Week 7 bye will have them at a 1-5 record. Yikes. Week 8 in Carolina, battle between rookie quarterbacks with CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. I'm going with the Panthers because they're the home team in this. Week 9, this is against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is where their second win of the season will occur. I got them winning that game. But week 10 against the Bengals. Bengals going to be one of the best teams in the league. I got them losing that one. But they'll get an easy win against the Cardinals. I think they will get their revenge at Jacksonville. And I do think they're going to beat the Broncos. They're three wins in a row. But against the New York Jets, I do got them losing that. Also got them losing to the Titans. And week 16 against the Browns, I'm going to go with Cleveland on this one. For some reason, I'm pretty high on Cleveland this year. Week 17, I have them beating the Titans. And in week 18, losing to the Colts to put them at 6-11. It's a pretty good record in Houston circumstance. Now, obviously, they will not make the playoffs. We know that. But if they get to 6 wins, this will be a good little building block for the Houston Texans. Not bad. So let me know, in Texans fans, in the comments below what your record's going to be. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.